What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, coach of your Montreal Milotic, and today I have a very special guest for you all. Please say hello to Aaron2420.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Aaron2420.
Aaron is the coach of the Calgary Infernape in the Pokemon for Glory Next Generation with us. I believe we played one other time before the P4G, so I can't remember what league it was in. That's probably behind me, but we are talking about a lot of busted-ass Pokemon today, and you have a busted-ass Mon on your P4G team, being Aegislash.
Aegislash is a very fun boy. But we are not talking about Aegislash today.
Yeah, we got three great, scary Pokemon for you guys, being Mega Latias, Mega Latios, and Mega Kangaskhan. And we're going to talk about whether we think they should be banned or not. So before we get started, make sure to go check out Aaron's channel. It'll be linked in the description, as well as his YouTube, Twitter handle. His Twitter handle is Aaron2420YT, so make sure to go check that out. So let's get started with our first Pokemon, being Mega Latias. So really quickly, what are your thoughts on this thing right away?
Well, Mega Latias, it's a much bulkier version of Mega Latias, regular Latias. Really, its worst stat is HP, which even then, it's still a very respectable HP stat, especially for a Mon with such monstrous defenses. Really good typing. I love the fact, actually, that it also, in addition to its awesome typing, has Reflect type, so it can copy the type of the opponent's Pokemon.
Oh, absolutely. Reflect type is great.
Really good.
Like, to me, the best part about Latias is the fact that because you have that 120 base defense and that 80 HP, you can just be completely physically defensive, run Calm Mind and store power, and be monstrous, especially if your team doesn't have a Dark type.
Agreed. Also, even then, it still has plenty of options to hit Dark types. Not necessarily for super effective coverage, but it has options such as Draco Meteor that would just nuke most Dark types, especially coming off that monstrous special attack stat.
Yeah, 140 is nothing to laugh at. My only issue with this thing is that it doesn't gain any speed at all. If it gained even 5 points in speed, that'd be just bananas. I could not explain to you how important that speed would be at 115.
Yeah. I would say 110 is a little bit on the slower side, but luckily it still does have options with Tailwind to boost its speed up.
Absolutely.
So, and also Thunder Wave to slow other mons down as well. So I don't think it's too much of a problem necessarily, though it's definitely not exactly the greatest speed tier for Mega, especially when you can't run a Scarf on it.
Yeah, but I mean, when I look at Mega Latias versus regular Latias, what really stands out to me is the fact that you aren't that knockoff weak. Like, you can take hits from non-stab knockoffs and set up all over them and just roost it off, which is great.
Yeah, I agree 100% actually with that. Also, I know it's not exactly the greatest option, but it does even have options to boost physical attack stat with Home Claws. Sadly, it doesn't get Dragon Dance like regular, like Latios does. But, I mean, it still does have a really nice physical move pool with options such as Earthquake for Heatrans, and Outrage is a really spammable move as well versus most teams, especially if they lack a Fairy type.
Yeah, for sure. I have Mega Latias in the WPL, a league that I upload on Sundays, and I ran a Home Claws, Thunder, Outrage, Roost set. And I had Thunder there because I wanted to get rid of an Alamomola, but other than that, I just completely obliterated my opponent with that set. Unfortunately, it didn't put in much work, but the set itself was super good.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this thing? Should it be banned? Should it be unbanned? Just for prior, I guess. What was I going to say? For the other Pokemon I've covered Magirna, I've covered Lele, I've covered Hoopa Unbound. I decided to say I'll unban all 3 of those because I'm just a fan of having all of them in the league. It makes it just a bit more fun. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, Mega Latias, I'd say honestly, probably in my opinion, of all of the mons that people consider controversial, it's probably the most controversial in my opinion. I definitely see why at least ban it. Personally, I'm actually allowing it in my current league right now. I think it's definitely a really scary mon to prep for. It definitely has a lot of merit in terms of what it can do, especially versus opposing teams, and also what it can provide for its own team. I think right now I'm leaning more on the side of that it should have been banned, but I definitely see a lot of reasons to unban it. For example, especially compared to most other mons that people normally would ban, it's not exactly the most well. It doesn't really necessarily break a team. It just has a lot that it can do in terms of its diversity, especially with the stats.
Yeah, for sure. I think in my eyes,
I'm not too sure.
I think in my eyes, Latias is by far worse than Latios, but Mega Latias is by far better than Mega Latios. That's just my opinion. And if I was
100%.
if I was making my own league, I would say, because I'm not the biggest fan of if you're choosing a broken Mega, it costs you 40 points. I'm not a fan of that. I'm just either tier 1 Megas, then it's like the Megas below that, you gain points. So I would ban it. I would, like, Mega Latias is too strong. Hits too hard, 140 special attack, 120 defense, 150 special defense. Like, it has 5 stats over 100. That's amazing.
Yeah. I would say very, very few Pokemon have that sort of coverage on them. And I think that on top of it's also really good move pool. I definitely could see a ban case for it. Again, I definitely see unban potential as well for it, but I think personally I would much rather have this thing banned.
Fair enough. I think we're both on the same wavelength there. It's controversial, but we think it should be banned. So moving on though, let's go to its counterpart, Mega Latios. So again, pretty similar to Latias, except it's got much less bulk, 20 less in defense, 30 less in special defense, only 20 more in special attack, and, well, 30 more, which is pretty useful in its attacking stat. What do you think about this thing?
I think compared to Mega Latios, its defensive potential is significantly worse in my opinion. I feel like that it just doesn't have, while it still definitely has really nice bulk, especially for monstrously offensive Pokemon, I don't think that it's necessarily to the point of, I feel like it's just not necessarily enough to really be considered a wall.
Absolutely.
Also being offensive. It's definitely a really nice tanky mon, but I don't think it's necessarily like really offensive.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely the biggest problem with it.
To me, the biggest reason why I think Latios is kind of held back, again, is just that 20 points in defense. I'm fine with it losing on the 30 points in special defense because you're gaining its offensive stats, but you're not taking knockoffs as well. You're not taking physical dragon-type moves as well. Latias can take some random Dragon Claws from some dragons. Latios, not really. It's less bulky than Manaphy on the physical side, and Manaphy is, I mean, pretty bulky at 100s all around. I personally think that Dragon Dance on this thing is its saving grace, because you can set up to +1 speed, and you can just nuke things with Draco. 160 special attack, come on, that's messed up.
Yeah. I think in terms of offense, Mega Latios is a very scary mon. As you mentioned, Dragon Dance gives it really nice physical presence, has the move pool for it too. Also has really nice special offense with its, again, still gets Calm Mind, still has a phenomenal coverage in terms of Draco Meteor, which isn't really coverage, but it's really hard-hitting stab move. Also has Ice Beam, Grass Knot, Psychic obviously, Shadow Ball. I feel like also, again, with the Tailwind aspect, it has really nice ways in terms of just getting its speed up there with Dragon Dance and Tailwind. It still can roost up, which again gives it some options for recovery if it did need to play a bulkier Aztec for a team, though it's definitely not its best strength. I feel like it just has a lot to offer. Not as much as Mega Latios, but I feel like it still has a lot that it can provide for a team.
For sure. For sure. To me, one of the things that kind of sucks about it is I'm pretty sure, yeah, it doesn't get Reflect type, which really does suck, because Reflect type can make Latias really deal with a lot of things that it wouldn't normally be able to deal with because of its typing. And because you have access to so many different coverage options, you could potentially get Stab on, like, let's say you become a Water type, you can get Stab Surf. So, like, this thing is good, but not as good as Latias in my eyes.
I'd say probably the only other thing that really pushes it, in my opinion, and I'm not sure if I'm answering still too early, a little bit more in my opinion towards an unban for Mega Latios, is because even though it does get Memento, which I think is really nice, it does, one, kill you off, and two, unlike Healing Wish, it doesn't really heal up any of your mons, and you can't Z Memento exactly with Mega Latios, since of course it's a Mega Pokemon. I feel like the fact that it's missing out on Healing Wish, even though it's a really small thing, I feel like it's just enough to really nail it in terms of allowing it, because Mega Latias, as I said, it provides both a lot for itself and a lot for a team as well, in terms of the Healing Wish support, Tailwind support. Mega Latios, on the other hand, really only has Tailwind support. Memento's nice and all, but it's not really enough to really break him on, I feel like.
Yeah, of course. I mean, to me, the end-all be-all for this thing is that Life Orb Latios, I'm pretty sure, is still stronger than regular Mega Latios. So,
I believe, at least specially, it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Physically, I think it's pretty even. I feel like at the very least, it's nice though, because it doesn't necessarily need to worry about taking Life Orb damage.
Yeah.
But I still don't think that it's enough necessarily boosted all around in its stats to make it ban worthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, so you lean towards the unban on this thing and the ban towards Latias. Really quickly though, before we move on to the next one, would you rather have on your team Latios or Mega Latios?
I would much rather have Mega Latios.
Oh.
I feel like as I mentioned, even though it's not necessarily meant to be a bulky mon, I like the bulk in general on Mega Latios. It's a lot tankier. It can actually take hits. Unlike regular Latios, it's really hard to make it actually take anything.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean,
feel like I would much rather have Mega Latios. Also because in most cases, at the very least, if you're getting it as like a just normal tier 1 Mega, I feel like that you can get a lot of really nice teammates for Mega Latios. Whereas, in my opinion, there are definitely some Megas that work really well with regular Latios, but it's a lot less than the tier 1s that work really well with Mega Latios.
that's fair. I'm more the mind I'd rather have regular Latios because of Scarf, and like Trick of course is very valuable. You can run that Z move,
Yeah.
which just nukes things. But one thing I've used Latios I think 2 or 3 times now, and every single time I've used it, when it's a tier draft, I like to make sure that I have all my bases set. I like to make sure that I'm not getting stuck with like 4 tier 5 Pokemon. I want to make sure I have a lot of options that are going to be able to come every week. And the fact that I've never had I've only had multiple tier 1s with regular Latios, that hurts me. That makes me feel like I needed something really good to support it being really good. So like a Weavile and Latios pairing is extremely powerful, but I'd rather have like, let's say, Celesteela with like 4 really good tier 3s, and that would make me happier than like 2 really good tier 1s. So that's just me.
That's very fair. I'll give you that. I think honestly they're both phenomenal mons, and I feel like I'd honestly be okay with either. I think that Latios honestly it's a little underwhelming in terms of mons that people consider broken. It's still a phenomenal tier 1 Mega. And
Absolutely.
I think it's still definitely one of the best. But I think compared to what mons people classify as broken or controversial, it's definitely the most, if not second most underwhelming. I'd say Hoopa and Bound gives it competition for the most underwhelming of the mons people classically ban.
Yeah, I agree. Hoopa U isn't really like I already talked about it, but I'm not the biggest fan of it in general. Just its speed and its typing, whatever. So let's move on to the next one, which is going to be Mega Kangaskhan. So this thing, we are not covering it with Seismic Toss. Seismic Toss does not exist when we're thinking of this right now. Okay, so
yeah, it's an instant ban.
Yeah, look at its stats. Look at its move pool. Do you think this thing should be banned or not?
Well, something I do want to mention. I actually before I saw Jolt use this thing in the GBA, I was hard ban this. After seeing Jolt use it, I feel like he both did a really good job at showing me a lot more that it can do in terms of giving it more cases to ban it. For example, people classically say Rocky Helmet is a counter to this.
It is,
he
though.
showed off that it's a very solid answer to it. But he showed off that even then, for example, on mons such as Garchomp, you can always just run Ice Beams and handle them that way without taking Rocky Helmet damage. So while Rocky Helmet is a definitely very solid Mega Kangaskhan answer, it's not necessarily a hard Mega Kangaskhan answer, as I feel like, as I said, Jolt proved in the GBA.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely a very good case to the classic, just run Rocky Helmet answer. But at the same time, I feel like he also showed that it really does need a lot of support and a really strongly well-built team around Mega Kangaskhan to make it shine. I think that it's a lot harder than I thought to make that happen necessarily, because you need a lot of things. Mega Kangaskhan can only run so many moves. And I feel like to do what it needs to do, it needs more than 4 moves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think this thing, you look at its stats though, 105 HP, 100 on both defense is pretty damn bulky. Like, try and take down a Mew or a, like, what gets recovery, that's a Pixie, Shaman or whatever it is, depending, and if you don't have the greatest matchup against this thing, Kangaskhan gets Wish. Like, you're passing off fat 105 base HP wishes, you're going to be around for a while, and you have access to Drain Punch if you really need it, so that's extra recovery right there. And then you have a lot of powerful moves. You get Power Punch, obviously the top set is really strong because you're getting that attack, going for your crunches, your body slams, returns, whatever you're going for. You're going to put in a lot of work, and if your opponent loses their Rocky Helmet mon early, like I know Uxie with Rocky Helmet is a great answer to this thing, but if Uxie gets worn down, that's like, this thing comes in and can pretty much win the game because at 100 speed, it's decently quick.
Yeah. Not only that, but I also like how, as you said, I know you're comparing it to Mew. I personally like this a lot more in terms of a bulky mon than Mew. Main reason being, even though it doesn't get Will-O-Wisp support, it's a normal type, so it's only really weak to fighting types.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really easy to draft a really fat psychic type, as you mentioned earlier with Mew, for example, or a Cresselia. Cresselia would probably be my favorite go-to mon for this, though, as I said, Mew is still a phenomenal pair as well. And you just have that fighting type covered, because most psychic types, especially really fat ones, take a lot to really kill them off. Like, even Uxie, without recovery, it's still a really hard mon for a lot of teams to break necessarily. just because of how fat it is in terms of its defense stats. Both, I believe, being 130 and then 75 HP.
Yeah, look, I think we can both agree, though, that if Kangaskhan comes in and there's no residual damage on it from its moves, it can set up curses. And because if you decide to max out your special defense or get very specially bulky with a lot of HP, you can set up curses and rest, and then you can just go to town with whatever coverage you need to. So, in my eyes, as long as there's no residual damage on this thing, then Kangaskhan puts in a ton of work. And I think the nerf to parental bond, I think it only does what? It's now... Yeah, so it used to do...
It's a quarter.
Yeah, it used to be half, now it's a quarter. So if it wasn't like cut down there, then I think it would be beyond broken. I think we wouldn't have the discussion that we're having now. So where do you see it? Unban or ban?
Well, I think, honestly, the parental bond nerf, I feel like in terms of an offensive Mega Kangaskhan, it makes it a lot more setup dependent, in my opinion, as you mentioned with the Curse or Power Up Punch. At the same time, though, it still is getting off 2 setups with every one of those setups. And not only that, but it also still has a really nice attack stat, base 125. While not the greatest, it's still definitely not bad, especially when you're hitting twice. I do think, however, that it's still, even with setup, it's definitely not exactly too hard to prep around fighting a Mega Kangaskhan, as just you can always bring a really solid fighting type or toxic. And while I'm pretty sure it doesn't get Heal Bell. I know it gets a lot of support moves, but I'm pretty sure Heal Bell is not one of them. So you would have to run Rest to clear any status.
Yeah.
Or a Healing Wishmon or some other cleric. So I feel like it just takes a lot to really make a Mega Kangaskhan work. And while it works really well if you have those support options, you can't always bring every support mon to a match
For
to
sure.
make the combo mons work. So I think I would lean more towards unban on Mega Kangaskhan for those reasons, and also the ones we covered earlier.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely okay with the you said ban, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm okay with the ban. To me, I would say, you know what?
I said unban.
You said unban. Okay, yeah, so
yeah.
If someone says ban, that's fine. I think unban, but mostly because I've had Mega Mawile in League, and I think it's great. I think it's overvalued, and I think I can't really evaluate Kangaskhan until I try it myself. So I do want to say that just looking at someone else use it, let's say you're playing against a really talented player with Mega Kangaskhan, they're going to make it work. Not necessarily because the Pokemon is broken, but because because they are themselves a good player. So I think this just accentuates the fact that someone can be either really good or not so good. So in my eyes, I'm okay with the ban, but I would also lean towards the unban. So that's that.
Mm-hmm.
So really quickly, let's just recap what we said about everything else. So we have Latias, which you said you would ban, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe I said ban as well. I can't remember. Just go back and watch the rest of it, I guess. Yeah, Latios, we both said unban.
Yep.
And then Mega Kangaskhan, we both said unban.
Mm-hmm.
Great, so that's that. I mean, hopefully you guys agree with us in the comment section below. If you don't, make sure to let me know why as well. And go check out our good buddy Aaron2420's channel. It will be linked in the description as well. And go follow him on Twitter. Are you close to any milestones on YouTube, like subscriber milestones? Maybe we can help you get there.
I think I'm actually 20 subs away from 300 right now.
Oh, damn. Nice. So if you have not checked him out...
20, 21, somewhere around there.
Wow, if you have not checked him out, make sure you go and do so. He is close to 300, which is awesome. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys have any suggestions for future Pokemon you want to see in this Banlist discussion, let me know again in the comment section below. Thank you for coming on. Do you have anything left to say?
More leagues should unban Mega Kangaskhan. I think it's criminally banned, and I wish people were more open to it.
Hey, who has Mega Kangaskhan in P4G right now?
I honestly can't remember. I don't even think I play the team that has Mega Kangaskhan in P4G. I could pull it up real quick. I have the doc open actually right now.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. Drafts page. It is... Oh, it's all the way at the end. God damn it. It is Carson, actually. Carson.
Oh, yeah. He's hasn't won a game yet so far, right?
Yup.
So
not. And he does have one of the best answers to it. Well, one of the better answers to it, though, being Fairthorn.
Yeah, Pharaoh's like Iron Barbs,
he at least
Rocky Helmet.
Pick that. Yeah, it's sad, though. Mega Kangaskhan isn't shining as much as it should be. Though, to be fair, neither is Naganadel.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I have Naganadel in another league as well. Actually, the same league I have Mega Latias in, surprisingly. And Naganadel is as good as it is. It forces more scary prep than it does, or more weird prep than it does do things during the game. If you kind of understand what I mean there.
I feel like a lot of really broken mons do that. For example, Mega Mawile forces a lot of really weird switch-ins.
Yeah.
That normally shouldn't really be switch-ins.
Yeah, so that's what it is though. Like that's just what it is for having a busted mon.
A lot of, busted mons always do that. Like, I think Fry's brought Bandit Dugtrio versus me, even though I had a lot of answers to really wear down Dugtrio. He just needed something that could kill off my Age Slash, or at least 2-hit KO it. And his team really lacked answers for that.
Hey, I mean, Aegislash is a busted Pokemon too, so yeah.
Sure.
Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel and Aaron's. So, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.